And welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Sunday Morning Live. Ignore the day, ignore the time, just witness who we have. I know you've been asking a lot of questions on the Super Bowl weekend. Why didn't we do an episode and stuff? But let's get past it. And you hardly have a lot to see on the internet, and you're getting 1 hour with Siddharth Mehra. So why complain anyway? Well, let's get to the things first. Congratulations to Siddharth Mehra, who just became a father once again. Baby girl, blessed with a baby girl. Congratulations, Siddharth Mehra. How are you doing? How's everyone at home?
Everyone's good. Thank you so much. We're truly blessed. She's a little nugget. We just got her back home from the hospital today. So I've been kind of between the Super Bowl and the small matter of another baby. It's been quite a hectic week. So, it's I'm back. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me in future podcast.
I hope she doesn't get to see a lot of Mustafi there, and make sure to show her some laka oba sauce and stuff. But
that was initially when when babies come out, you need to make them cry, to check their lungs and stuff. So what better way to do that than to show her a gif of Mustafi, making an unnecessary challenge or his defending in general, and she started crying immediately. So we'll move on to the oba laka sauce a little later. But for now, it's a means to an end.
So Sunday Morning Live, episode number 4, 1 hour exclusively with Siddharth Mehra, and we are covering this weekend's Premier League, and we have a lot to speak. But let's get started with Mr. Mourinho and Chelsea, who conceded 6, by the way, for the first time in their history, and a lot of things happened for the first time. Man City 6, Chelsea 0. So Arsenal kind of move back into 5th, and that was kind of a Wenger kind of a performance, right? Wenger kind of an approach in a big game, not studying the opponent and just being stubborn enough to put that team out. What are your thoughts on the game, Man City versus Chelsea?
Yeah, so I just want to say, Sarri got his wish. He likes to smoke on the sidelines, but today his team got smoked. Sorry, Chelsea brethren. Sorry about that, but it had to be done. Yeah, but it's symptomatic of his philosophy, right? Sarri is a purist. He believes in progressive football. He believes in playing positional play. And he needs and he does not deter from that. He picks his 4-3-3. He sticks with his 4-3-3. He needs a deep lying playmaker, which is why they went to great lengths to pay what they did for Jorginho. But it's been 6 months, and although we've seen some scintillating football from the Chelsea side, teams have started to figure out how to play against them. Right? You close down Jorginho. There isn't really anybody else in that midfield who can progress the ball like he can. I think they tried to pick Barkley today to do that, but he didn't have a very good game. I don't know for what reason they're playing N'Golo Kante, as the guy who triggers the press. It's just not working out. And if Bournemouth beat you 4-0, employing those tactics, what were you thinking when you went to the Etihad and tried to do the exact same thing you did at Bournemouth and expected, better results? And you could see that coming. Once that first goal went in, you could see that he won't do damage control. He kept things as it is, and City just steamrolled them completely. I mean, it was kind of sad at one point. We were, a couple of us were kind of Arsenal fans were discussing that, hey, if they jokingly at first that if they concede 6, then we go above them in the table, and then just boom, 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 boom. After the first half, you kind of felt that 6 was going to come. So I wouldn't want to be a Chelsea fan right now. As Arsenal fans, we have a little bit of PTSD. All due respect to people who suffer from PTSD, we've seen these kind of performances in every away ground that we've been to. So we've put in these kind of in the Wenger era. We've had the 8-2 at United. We've had the Had,
Six
got
nil at
5 goals.
Chelsea.
Yeah, 6-0 at Chelsea and Wenger's 1,000 game, and then a
Yeah,
couple of times at Anfield.
yeah, five
Um,
one
yeah,
and 4-0.
annual shellacking at Anfield for Arsenal,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So I can empathize with them, but you could see this coming. No one Chelsea fan can stand up and say that they had complete faith that Sarri would go in with some kind of a plan, or some kind of a tactical setup to neutralize Man City. He tried to play them at their own game, and that is what happens when you try to play City at their own game. European sides somehow manage it because they have a good collection of talent, and I would like to think more progressively better coaches. But I feel bad for Sarri. I think he's on the brink right now.
And that reminds me that that's a good point to end with. Well, do you think he's facing the sack then? And does Goose Hiddink get a call now from Roman?
Yeah, I posted something like that, right? Like Abramovich
Yeah.
on the phone. Hey, Goose, pack your bags. It's me again. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Logically, you would think that they would wait out till the end of the season
Hmm.
and see where they finish, whether it's a Europa League spot or whether they do make the Champions League, because there's still an opportunity. They have some tough games, though. I will say that they have some pretty big games that they need to play, and there is a possibility it could go either way, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Abramovich is not is not the most reasonable guy. I mean, he has kind of stepped back a little bit over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
But if I was, based on what I've seen, performances like these get Chelsea managers sacked. So I would not be surprised if he goes. Having said that, who do you bring in? I don't think Hidding's coming. I don't think Hiddink would come back. Who would come back to do a job, and take this kind of squad and bring them where they need to be in the Champions League. Having said that, I also think that there is a player power problem at Chelsea. I think this has happened one too many times where players just decide that they don't want to buy into a manager's philosophy or his ideas, and they just down tools. I mean, they're just done. They can't be bothered. It's happened with Jose a couple of times. It's happened with Conte. Although Conte was more at loggerheads with the board because they weren't getting him the players he wanted. It's happened with Carlo. It's happened with Sarri now. So I do think that and I think that's a result of Abramovich's methods. I think the buck stops with him. Everybody else in the Chelsea hierarchy comes second. He has a team of yes men that
Yeah.
that everybody knows that if you go to Abramovich and you can get what you want, right? Like Peter Cech got his move to Arsenal by just going above Mourinho and talking to Abramovich directly, and Mourinho didn't want to sanction the move, but
To Chelsea.
everybody knows
Yeah.
who cuts the checks, who's in charge at Chelsea. I think that needs to change if they want the kind of stability they want. But if you see Chelsea fans, they seem quite okay with the revolving door manager policy that they have. It's somehow working for them. They've been winning titles, but I think it's not sustainable. You can't just keep bringing in the flavor of the month manager and expect them to do miracles. You're going to kind of burn through them at a really quick rate.
When we've spoken about this, that Conte kind of overachieved with Chelsea.
Yep.
It can be said that Antonio Conte kind of overachieved with Chelsea. But let's keep things in the present, and let's go back to the last week where Arsenal lost 3-1 there, and we had Unai Emery starting with 5 at the back. Denis Suarez, Ozil, and Ramsey all benched. So was he trying to avoid the tennis scoreline? Like, is this a guy who actually, accepts the fact that the opponent is better and then tries to muster something, to get something out from the available players that he has? I mean, we all saw what happened with Sarri last night and the stubbornness that he has. So do you think Unai Emery has a change in approach in the big games?
Yeah, he does. I mean, we've seen that. Like he has had a specific setup for every big game that we've played away. and it's sometimes it's come off and sometimes it hasn't. Like at Anfield, he
Hmm.
got the 1-1, and he got the lead, and then we immediately gave up a goal.
Yeah.
But he did set up the team correctly. I don't think he has the players to execute the level of tactical flexibility that he wants. He had mentioned, if you were reading his pre-match interviews, he was very categorical that that he can't compete with City, and Guardiola has got some of the best players at his disposal. But he was also kind of saying that Guardiola is also the best manager. So he was kind of holding his hands up and saying that don't expect miracles from me at the Etihad this season. Uh,
Hmm.
but we will see what can be done. And he set up there in a conservative manner, as he should have. I mean, as Arsenal fans, we have continuously castigated Arsene Wenger over the last 10 years as to why he doesn't have a plan. When he goes away to try and contain other teams that are have superior personnel, and why he continues to try and attack them, and then we get an ass handed to us uh, at these grounds. And we furiously celebrated a 2-0 win away at City by using defensive tactics.
True
Although
that.
there's a story that um it was Cazorla that actually kind of taught the team those defensive tactics, not Arsene. I know maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I find it hard to believe, but this is exactly what we were expecting from Arsene, that kind of flexibility, and now we're getting
Correct.
that. But we're at a phase right now that if we were third or fourth and he had these conservative tactics, I think our fans would be okay. But because we are fifth and in kind of oscillating between fifth and sixth, our fans are kind of like taking that as an opportunity to castigate Emery when he doesn't. He only has a few of the players that he wants. Um, he wants at the club, and we're being a little tough on him. That's what I feel. All right.
Correct, and that's what I saw. Last week, people are clearly so like jump to the conclusion types, judging him based on 7 months. I think the fact that he has to replace a legacy manager is what both of us can agree on that. He has to replace a legacy manager. He also has to clear of the mess, and he doesn't have funds at his disposal, and he's kind of done so much better with the players that he has at his disposal. um, uh, do you think um, do you think Ramsey and Ozil leaving, we can get players for him who fit his philosophy, and we start judging him from the next season onwards?
Yes, absolutely. Unai Emery has a 2-year contract at Arsenal, right? I mean, we this was always going to be a transition season. We've discussed this in our exclusive groups and stuff. I've been very vocal about this, that when Unai Emery came along, the talk was that, oh yeah, we have to be patient with the manager. We gave our last manager 26 years. We have to at least give this guy 1 year and a few transfer windows before we can start judging him. So you have to understand that when I say all-encompassing legacy manager like Arsene was not just the coach. Like Arsene was used to do transfer dealings, used to had a hand in scouting players. The entire scouting setup at Arsenal was a result of Arsene Wenger's hand-picked team, right? So
Yeah.
basically, yes, and Dick Law was an Arsene Wenger cohort. The goalkeeper coaches that we had, Jerry Payton, who has ruined so many goalkeepers at Arsenal, was a Wenger loyalist. I mean, every facet of the club was controlled by Arsene, even though whether you like it or not. And Gazidis and the Cronkies kind of slowly kind of broke that down once the performance started going bad. But for someone to come in and just drop a head coach in there and say that, okay, everybody, there's 10 other people who are going to take care of everything else that Arsenal used to do. You're just going to coach these guys. It just doesn't work that way. It takes time. There are, there is a way that certain clubs play. And for 26 years, Arsenal has been used to not coaching defense very well.
Correct.
So, the entire setup at the club is set up in such a manner that even if you want to go in and do a defense first kind of a job, you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the coaches at the grassroots level and at the training level to be able to succeed there. Just Unai or just Carcedo can't go in and make your defensive setup better overnight. It just doesn't work that
Absolutely.
way.
Yep.
If
Yep.
you want
Yep.
to work that way, then you have to be a Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce, Mourinho kind of team that just sits back and only wants to hit on the counter. You can't try and do both. So I think people are overreacting quite a bit. If you'd ask most people, go look at some polls that when Unai Emery was appointed, what's a realistic goal for him? People
Yeah.
said that if he finished fifth or sixth, they would be okay with that. Now
Hmm.
that suddenly changed to he must qualify for the Champions League at any cost or must win Europa at any cost. I think that's a result of a 22 game unbeaten run.
Unbeaten.
People thought that he's come in and he's completely flipped the club 360. We've regressed a little bit from there. I absolutely agree, but there are there's absolutely no reason to panic, and some people are going into like panic mode, thinking that it's the end of the club. I can't watch this football anymore. My eyes are hurting.
Yeah.
Against Huddersfield, we played on the break. Oh, we turned into a conservative team. Why are we playing Iwobi and Mkhitaryan when Iwobi and Mkhitaryan were the standout players in that game? And the fact that they kind of both dovetailed off each other. So it's getting to a point where people are finding any stick to beat the team with and the coach with, and it's going to come to a point where we're going to start seeing some of our supporters fall off, and I'm actually going to be happy about that, because you're going to understand who are the Arsenal fans who were here just because of Arsene, and and who are the fans who are here because they support Arsenal, and this is like a defining moment in our club's history.
True. And that's where I was going to go. 22 match unbeaten run. And then there were a lot of injuries, right? Like Rob Holding was the key man in defense who we lost. And he was a guy who was so smart, fitting into Emery's plans. Bellerin's gone. Socrates is unavailable. And so there have been problems. There were problems defensively, and these crises have just added to those problems. And in that, he's managed to do good, I feel. And I'm not going to judge him by just 7 or 8 months, let's say. Also, let's get your thoughts on this comment saying Emery playing 5 at the back and 2 defensive midfielders, and even Granit Xhaka is counted as 3 if he plays. So, so 5 at the back, 3 defensive again, going all defensive against Huddersfield, going all defensive against Man City. What's your take on that?
See, Man City, I don't know how you can blame Emery for being conservative there, right? Huddersfield, I get your point. They're probably going to be relegated. They hadn't scored a goal in 8 hours. Obviously, Arsenal come along; they have to score against us. But technically, they didn't score. We scored. So, and I have a little joke about that. I'll tell you after we're done here. But the thing is that at this point, there's 12 games to go. Unai Emery is playing a numbers game in his head. The Huddersfield game for him is all about 3 points. All right. And for him to set up a team, to go all out, balls out attack without Aubameyang, without your first choice defenders, he's playing 3 at the back so that Mustafi can be covered. And 3 at the back was working fine when we had our players fit, I don't see why it's turned into such a huge issue. The thing is that if you had Xhaka and Torreira, you would probably have had more control in that game. You had Guendouzi and Torreira, and we all know Guendouzi is great, when he has support around him. But, we gave up possession. It ended up looking bad. But at no point in that game, especially in the first half, did Huddersfield look like they were going to score. All right. And we scored 2 goals. We could have scored 2 more goals if Iwobi had finished better. and it wasn't the catastrophe that people claim it was to be. Yes, again, our defense is so bad that we were always going to give up one chance. You gave up that one big chance, which was again a Koscielny mistake. Like I've told you guys tens of times before, that the guy had a fantastic game. All right, Koscielny had a
Yeah.
fantastic game. He
Yeah.
completely lost Diakabi's run when that ball went through. All right. So, I mean, at this point, like I've said, we just need to completely shift out the defense. Only Bellerin can stay. Probably Kolasinac can stay. And everybody else, and Socrates, right? And
Yeah.
then everybody else is dispensable at this point. They just can't seem to, they seem to be broken beyond repair. And I think you can be negative and criticize the fact that we didn't go out and try to beat them 6-0.
Hmm.
But I don't think you can be negative of the fact that Unai Emery at this point is just trying to take the 3 points the way any which way he can, and I'm okay with that. At the end of the day, we got the 3 points. You
Absolutely.
didn't. I don't think we have the luxury of we have the luxury right now as Arsenal fans to say, hey, he needs to be winning these games away 1-4. Why don't you go and look at the Tottenham score away at Huddersfield this season? Almost the same kind of game. They won 2-0. They have a better, more defense that has played together. But that's the level we are at. Tottenham are right now a better team than us, and they won away at Huddersfield 2-0 with a
Hmm.
Harry Kane penalty and another Harry Kane goal. And it wasn't a great game. So I mean, it's just the circumstances that are dictating the narrative right now.
Yeah.
You need to kind of step back and look at things in isolation a little bit. So that's where I am with Unai Emery being conservative.
Yeah, and circumstances dictating the narrative. Let's keep that. Let's put that into inverted commas and post it whenever we are doing. And let's get your thoughts on two players, by the way, specifically Matthew Gundozi,
Yeah.
who's kind of emerged as that bright, young talent. We just were speaking about him, about a player who's come from League Two in France to Premier League. We saw a very different part of him in the Man City game, a guy who
Hmm.
might turn up in the big games, and a guy who might go on to captain Arsenal. Well, your thoughts on Matthew Gundozi and your thoughts on Bernard Leno, considering the fact that he actually saved a lot of the shots last week against City, by the way.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I'll get to that. But remember, I
yeah,
told you I'll tell you a joke after we spoke about
oh
Huddersfield.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you notice, Kolasinac scored the own goal.
Huh.
Kolasinac scores the own goal and then immediately puts his hands up for offside. Did you notice that? How, who does that? Like, I mean, did he think that it was somehow going to get the goal ruled out? The guy is like, and I love the fact that he's our bouncer. Whenever it comes to us get somebody getting into a fight or something, you'll see Kolasinac go up and kind of square up to that guy and
Correct.
say that it'll probably destroy you if you try something funny over here and stuff. So
Hulk smash.
yeah, Hulk smash. My son loves that. He thinks he can do the Hulk smash. So he's a big fan of Kolasinac. Yeah, but to your question, Guendouzi is a phenomenal talent. I mean, we've seen that in spurts and games where he has no fear. It's very tough to get the ball off of him. He can play every kind of pass, short, long, through balls, looped crosses into the box, things like that. But I think there is massive room for improvement as far as his the defensive side of his game goes. He's okay at interceptions at some point, but very bad at tracking runners. A lot of times, a lot of the goals we've conceded, you go back and look at Guendouzi's positioning or his lack of marking someone as they go past him. I think he needs to work on that, and you can't really blame him for that. You can be frustrated by it. He's 19 years old, man. What do you expect? He's not going to be the finished product. He is a lot better than some of the midfielders that we have in terms of his offense, in terms of his defense. There is still a lot of room for improvement. I think as far as being a future Arsenal captain is concerned, it really depends if he stays at Arsenal. I mean, if he progresses the way we want him to progress, will his head be turned by by PSG, or will his head be turned by some of the bigger clubs, maybe even in the Premier League, or will we be able to hold on to him? I don't know if he's captaincy material now. I think it's too early to call that. Uh, I think it would be very, very premature to say that Matteo Guendouzi can be a captain. Can he be? Can he be an elite central midfielder? Yes, with the right coaching, he can. He can. He has significant talent, and I think he can be coached into one of the greats.
And on Leno, one Leno, yeah.
He's so the thing with Leno is, before when we signed him, a lot of people were saying, "What, we should have signed Jack Butland instead." Jack Butland, right? There were stats being thrown around. Oh, Bernd Leno has made the most errors leading up to a goal in the Bundesliga, but that's also a function of the type of team he plays for. Bayer Leverkusen played one of the highest high lines I've ever seen in my life. It's like insane the amount of exposure that they would give him, and how open they would leave him. But he also had an insane save ratio, and he had a couple of bad years, and I think that's what we were doing. We were looking for these guys who had natural talent, who had regressed a little bit in the last couple of years. And he's been a good signing for us. I mean, we spent a lot of money for him. Arsenal spending close to 20 million pounds on a goalkeeper is unheard of in this day and age. Like, we look for 3.5 million bargain basement deals like Ospina and Fabianski and all these guys. And then we don't have the coaching set up to improve them. But I think the biggest compliment that I can give Bernd Leno is, I do not feel stressed out, or I do not feel nervous when the ball is at his feet. The passing out from the back is the most important thing that you need to have as a goalkeeper who's unflappable. That, like, Edison is at another level. The guy is a midfielder. He could play midfield for some Premier League teams, but I'm not nervous with us playing out of the back because of Bernd Leno anymore. And that has a calming effect on your centre backs. That has a calming effect on your fullbacks. When Peter Cech was trying hard and failing at playing out of the back, you were seeing Mustafi making mistakes. You were seeing whoever the other centre back was that was making mistakes and getting caught on the ball and stuff. So I would give him kudos for that. As far as his saving is concerned, I think he's made some good saves in some games. I think he also has made some errors, or he has conceded some goals where you would expect him to save. For example, the Cardiff City goal. That was a good shot, but I would have expected a goalkeeper to do better there. I think he kind of he was a little bit off his line, and he could have stayed behind a little bit. But he's been more or less solid. I have no complaints with Leno. Are we also discussing his captaincy? I mean, I don't think he's captain material. I don't think he's just not vocal enough right now. Maybe down the line he could be. But all in all, very, very, very happy with his signing.
So that's all about Arsenal, Unai Emery, Arsenal and the players and the results that took place over the weekend. Let's move on to Craven Cottage. Claudio Ranieri, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 3-0. That Martial goal was brilliant, isn't it?
Henry-esque goal. I mean, just everything from the run to he kind of one look at where he's going to place the ball, and just placed it to perfection. I mean, there have been a lot of pretenders to the Henry throne in the Premier League, right? But I would say he's getting there. He's getting there. He has that burst of pace. He has that. He's tall. He has that frame. So he's one of the contenders, I guess.
And that's where I'm going. Where Man United are currently on an up in form, and they are into fourth right now. They're into fourth.
Yep.
They also have a lot of tough games coming up, starting this midweek against PSG, which we won't get into now. But they have a Chelsea in the FA Cup. They have a Liverpool towards the last Sunday of February. They have a Manchester derby coming up. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tottenham is done for them. David De Gea won them the game. Arsenal is also left. Yes, Arsenal is left in March. So they kind of have some big games coming up. Do you see them staying in fourth, by the way, towards the end of the season? And what
it's possible?
exactly can they achieve from here?
It's possible. Fourth is very doable for them. They have a very good front line. I think that's clicking for them. I think Pogba coming into form is huge for them. In the big games, I will say that they have looked a little open, but they've ridden the luck to get big points from those
Yeah,
games, right?
yeah.
So those issues have not gone away against good teams. I think even Leicester had a decent game against them, but somehow they managed to get points from that as well.
Hmm.
But the steamrolling the smaller teams, which is important. 3-0 away at Fulham is a good result. The important thing for them is Solskjaer being able to get or the combination of Solskjaer, Phelan, Carrick, um, being able to get the defense to not shift goals, even though they have been conceding some chances. I think that's important for them, right? And at this stage, with this many games left, it
Hmm.
is very likely that they could make a top four spot permanent, or at least finish in the top four this season. It will depend on the big games, though. I think they have some tough games coming up. I really think if Chelsea don't improve, it should come down to between Arsenal and United, and I think that home game against them will be very nervous
Absolutely. The
for both
second
sides.
week of the second weekend of March. But
Yeah,
that's more about it on United and Ole and the things going around. Also,
yeah,
one more question regarding United was uh, David De Gea has
yeah.
been the super Dave guy who saves them. And the backline, Phil Jones just signed a new 6-year deal. There have been comments saying that they've been paying hospital bills and stuff. And who do you think will be their permanent defensive players, like the centre backs and the full backs? Who do you think should go out? Who do you think should get in? And what should that approach be like? How should they approach that?
So I think Shaw will stay. He's come into some good form in the back line. I think Lindelof has made that position his own. He was highly rated anyways. I don't think Jose knows what to do with a ball playing center back.
Hmm.
Although he did have Ricardo Carvalho play for him, who for my money, is one of the best on the ball center backs I've ever seen in my life. And I think Bai, if coached right, is a pretty big talent, but he also has, and I think we discussed this on one of the podcasts, that he can be Mustafi-esque at times in terms of
Yes.
giving up mistakes. Um, I do think they need somebody at right back. I don't think Ashley Young or whoever else it is that they have on their pensioners roster uh, can do the job at right back. They have that Diego Dalot kid,
Yeah.
but there's like um, 2-3 good performances, but you can't really depend on him. So they might go big there. I think giving Jones a contract is just pure sentimentality. I mean, I understand signing Martial. I think it's pretty ruthless of them to get rid of Fellaini. I don't understand them giving Ashley Young a new contract. I don't understand giving Phil Jones a new contract. I think Jones has shown again and again that he is injured a lot. So, he's not going to hold up. There's nothing that convinces you in his history that he's going to hold up. And he's also error prone. There was a time when United fans were trying to convince us. Alex Ferguson once came out and said when he played Jones in midfield that he could be a better player than Ronaldo. I think United fans have gassed him up since then, to think that this guy has elite level talent and he could be one of the best centre backs of all time. He is not. If you're looking for somebody to be a warm body that's available from time to time, keep Smalling. Why are you keeping Jones? Jones should be playing. Jones should be playing right now for a team like, let's see, Phil Jones should be playing for a team like Leicester City, maybe, maybe Brighton. I mean, at
So
best. That's it.
is this kind of a 6-year deal to swap him with Maguire and get Maguire or someone like someone else? No.
Yeah, I mean Harry Maguire is probably a is an upgraded version of Phil Jones, right? When Phil Jones was a hot young talent at Blackburn Rovers, that's what he was supposed to be. What Harry Maguire is today, right? And
Mm.
that never ended up working out for United. I mean, instead we got memes of Phil Jones' face and that kind of stuff. And you'd never want to make fun of somebody who's injured, but he's just not able to keep his fitness levels up. So if they want to go out, and they wanted Harry Maguire, they wanted Alderweireld, but they couldn't get them. They need to upgrade in that position. So I think it's a daft move. I don't know. He may come out and prove me wrong, and they'll win the Champions League or something. But I don't see it. Yeah.
Well, okay, and that some great thoughts there. But let's get back to the weekend, and the Spurs kind of had
Yeah.
a tough battle up against Leicester, where they came out 3-1 victors. Vardy missed that penalty, which could have become 1-1, and then it was kind of Spurs. But Spurs, I missed that game, and I don't want to comment if you have seen the game, if you've read about it. Was Spurs outplayed by Leicester? And I think Leicester played well against Liverpool. They got that 1 point. But did Leicester deserve all 3 points there at Wembley?
Well, they deserve what they got, right? And Leicester, this has been Leicester's story this season, especially against big teams. Puel has got them playing. Their build-up play is very good. It's actually really really good. The ability to progress the ball from out the back and in through midfield to the wings is great, but they just cannot convert the chances. Or when they get to the final third, they don't create enough dangerous chances within the 6-yard box to be able to do what they want. And then Vardy comes on and misses a penalty and stuff. I don't have sympathy for them right now, because I think that these sort of performances are becoming the norm for them. And I think credit to Spurs. I mean, they were supposed to struggle in this period without Kane and Harry Kane team, and we all make fun of Spurs, but Pochettino's managed to get performances out of players like Llorente, and and they have Son, and I think Son, for my money, is probably the most underrated uh, goal scorer in the Premier League right now. I think he's a phenomenal player. He's got two good feet. I think and I've said this, I made posts about this on FIIB, that I think his range of finishing is actually better than Harry Kane. If you watch some of his
Yes.
goals, he can score from distance. He can score, he can score around the keeper. He can score tap-ins. He has it all. He can run with the ball. He can beat you with the ball. He can run off the shoulder. I mean, when Harry Kane eventually moves to either United or Real Madrid, sorry, Sergio, it's going to happen. Not right now. Maybe not this summer, but it's going to happen. He can be first choice striker for Spurs. He's that good, and I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves. And I think he could also be a target for a lot of bigger clubs. A lot of bigger clubs can do with a player like Heung-min Son. He's really really good.
True, true. Something more to get Shurja and you on an episode together, which is we are hearing there, and the North London Derby is inside like 3 weeks time.
Yep.
But yeah, some good thoughts there, and let's get your thoughts now on the potential title winners who might just be, or are they bottling it again? Is my question. I have spoken to a few people. I'm kind of the host of this podcast. I've become kind of a host. I kind of have to stay unbiased. But do you think bottled a chance to take a lead there? They dropped points against Leicester. They dropped points against West Ham. Were they lucky against West Ham, by the way? The linesman kind of had a game, an off game where he was kind of, looked like helping Liverpool, and
Yeah.
they are going to bottle it again. And what has gone wrong for them? What are these minor hiccups, by the way? Can they recover?
This is pressure. I mean, this is pressure. I mean, if they had gone 7 points clear, it would have been very tough for anybody to make that. At this stage, that many points, even if you have one of the best Premier League sides of all time chasing you, it's tough to overcome that. And I think it would have broken City's confidence. if they'd done that. So it is pressure. I'm not saying they're bottling it yet because because they still have the ability to kind of dig results out. It's going to be close. I don't think you can call it right now, and that's what we want from a title race, right? You don't want to be able. There's no clear favorite. City are playing very, very good football right now. Last 2 or 3 games, they've really stepped it up a notch.
Mm. Mm.
Even against Everton, they didn't have the best game, but they found a way
Yes,
to win it.
yes.
So, you have that. City are building up that momentum and are up for the chase. But, Liverpool are, if they had messed up this weekend, then I would have said they're bottling it. But, they're hanging in there. And, but unfortunately, this means the pressure is only going to increase. And they're going to have to keep finding ways to get stuff done. So because we're seeing some Liverpool players hitting the wall a little bit,
Mm. Mm.
but you're also seeing some Liverpool players step up. I made a lot of fun of Naby Keita, but I also told you that their best midfield is Naby Keita, Wijnaldum, and Fabinho. And I think
Yeah.
we're starting to see that happen, and you're starting to see the benefits of those three playing together. I think that midfield, you can put that up against any midfield in Europe, and they'll hold their own if they are all playing at optimum level.
Absolutely, and that's more of Liverpool. That's we've done all the top six, if you see, and kind of inquisitive to know that there are still some big games that are coming up. Like let's just let me just scroll through the games, and let's build our audience on what's coming. We have obviously we have United versus Chelsea in the FA Cup. Next next weekend is an FA Cup weekend, so we have a break there. The next weekend, the last weekend is United versus Liverpool. The weekend after that is Arsenal versus Spurs. The weekend after that is Arsenal versus United. The next weekend is Manchester United versus Manchester City. So kind of March and April, the entire March and early of April decides where we go. Is it from the to the business end, like to the last?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I think it's coming down to the big games for everyone, right? I mean, yeah, you can say that sometimes it's the small game results that count and stuff, but it looks like in this season, whoever's playing for whatever position, whether it's a champions for the big six, if they're playing for a Champions League place versus the title, it's boiling down to some of the big games in them. Like for Liverpool, if they don't beat United, that's a problem. Now you've given City the opportunity to catch up, and they're going to have to do something they haven't done in a while. That's beat United, right?
Yeah.
For Arsenal to kind of show that they are serious, they need at least a draw at Wembley or wherever Spurs are playing that day. No, the stadium's actually supposed to be open by then. So, that's why I said that. I wasn't making fun. I was kind of making fun, but that's okay.
I know that.
Yeah. So, we're gonna. I would say we want to win that game, but it's we haven't won there for a while. I think we're gonna have to beat United at home. That's for us to have a serious shot at the top four. And we're going to have to win all our games against the smaller teams, and there are some bogeys in there for us as well. So it's going to come down. It is going to come down to the big games, right? I think United will beat Chelsea in the FA Cup. By the way, just this Chelsea team against the way United are playing right now, it's tough to see. It's tough to see, and Solskjaer, if he has to stake a claim to be the permanent manager for United, probably needs to get to the FA Cup final or win the FA Cup to do that.
Absolutely, and you can see that Liverpool are out, Arsenal are out, Spurs are out. So kind of United and Chelsea, one of the big guns against goes out, which on form period looks like United might go through, and then I think they just have City in their way towards the FA Cup. But let's get a couple of questions and wrap this up.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Chelsea. Let's go back to Hazard. Hazard leaving at the end of the season. And
most probably.
Where is he likely to go? Also, what do you see going ahead from Maurizio Sarri? He seems a bit confused. He came out and said, "I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on right now. How hard it is to motivate this group of players." And what are we going to see from him? Are we going to see the stubborn Sarri going again with his same philosophy of 4-3-3, Kante out wide, and Jorginho being exposed? What are we going to see from Chelsea?
Okay, so Hazard, I think, is going to go at the end of the season. I think everything points to him going to Madrid or some other club. I think he's at a point where I don't think he thinks he can take that next step in his career, which is obviously the Champions League. Um, he's probably going to end up in Madrid. I don't know if he'll be a good fit for Madrid, especially with the Brazilian kid, that Sid Vinicius Jr., who's kind of showing up and staking a claim for that left wing spot, and he's actually a phenomenal talent. We'll see how that plays out, but unless Madrid don't want him, I think he goes at the end of the season. As far as Sarri is concerned, so I don't think Sarri knows any other way. I mean, honestly, I've seen Napoli play. They played the same way. He was able to get buy-in from the Napoli players and get that team of players that he wanted to execute what he wanted. The juego, position play, or the positional play thing that he and Pep do to
Yeah.
great effect at Napoli, right? He had the personnel, he had the buy-in from them, and he had an easier league to play in, I think, to execute that style of play. I think he's done that here, but you're also playing, you also have players who have played for managers like Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho, who had specific game plans for each game, right? So if you're a player who's won 2 Premier Leagues in the last 3 seasons, and you're used to kind of preparing a certain way for a certain opponent, and then your manager comes in and says, no, we're just going to play the same way against all 20 teams, you're going to say that, hey, I know more than this guy. I've achieved more in this league than this guy has. He's never won a trophy, so what is he talking? So I can see that friction happening. I don't know. I know Sarri knows another way, and if he knows another way, does he have the runway to implement the other way, which is 12 games? So I don't think it looks great for him. I think Abramovich can be brutal at the best of times. This is not the best of times for them. I don't know if something magical has to happen within Chelsea, especially in the bigger games, for them to save something from the season. I don't see. I don't think it looks very good for Sarri right now.
Absolutely. And let's wrap this up with one final question, and
Yep.
love putting this out because I know people will be watching this throughout the week. Do you think Spurs are in the title race? Is it a
No,
title race, by the way?
no, it's not. No, it's not. They are. They're not in the title race. It's just a narrative we make up. I say that, I joke on FIOB a lot when they win big games. I think their best shot was at either the League Cup or the FA Cup. They're out of both. I'd like, they may be able to beat Dortmund. I don't know, but I don't think they're in the title race. I will say though, Spurs are probably like cemented to finish in third place. I don't see them falling out of the top four. I think the title race is between Liverpool and Man City. If Liverpool slip up, City will capitalize. Tottenham will not capitalize. And no, I mean, you tell me something. I'm asking you, what in Spurs' recent history or Pochettino's career or a record as a manager gives you that confidence to say that Spurs are in the title race or will stay in the title race? 5 points behind the leaders is all good, but
Yeah.
you're telling me that they're going to make up 5 points and go clear and win the league against this City side or against Liverpool, who have that head start in front of them? It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. So Siddharth Mehra, as it is, laying the smack it down on Spurs, and so kind of a fun episode. A short
It's just a smackdown. It's not rock bottom yet. All right.
so a good way to again prep up for the NLD, by the way, and we're keen on that. It's a big week coming up, by the way. I have something to say when we go offline. But yeah, if you've missed the games and if you missed the Premier League games, if you missed the 6-0 that City spanked Chelsea in last night at the Etihad, Arsenal's crappy 2-1 win over Huddersfield, United's 3-0 win over Fulham, and Liverpool's 3-0 win over Bournemouth. Also, Spurs winning 3-1 against Leicester. Here's the episode. The episode's out. The man has spoken. Have you seen it? Is my question. And we have a lot more to do in this week. We have the Champions League also, and I'm not announcing anything yet. If time permits and if everything goes well, we might have Siddharth Mehra back again. So I hope you enjoy this episode of Sunday Morning Live, which is technically Sunday in Boston, and
it's not morning though.
but yeah, let's backdate it a bit. And
Yeah.
if you enjoy this episode, it's been fun again talking to you. Congratulations once again. I hope everyone's doing well at home.
Yeah.
And really great of you to chip in with these 40 minutes, that 50 minutes that you've given us, and really great. Family comes first, obviously, yes, but he was so keen to do the episode last night as well. In the last night, that he messaged me saying that he was guilty that he missed it, but he's here and he's given us this episode. So I hope you love it. We'll be doing more of it in future. If you thought that the Super Bowl weekend we missed, we had stopped, it's not. Sunday morning.
No, I'll hold my hands up and say I was very drunk that weekend. The Patriots so you guys didn't want any of that, or maybe you did, but I wasn't going to get on a podcast on Super Bowl weekend. So sorry about that, guys.
But once again, thank you so much. And if any final thoughts that you'd like to share before we sign off?
No, I think European competition starting up again is great. We're starting to kind of build up some anticipation around what's going to happen in the Premier League. I think obviously the title is a 2-horse race, but there's a lot more to play for other people. So I'm excited, man. I think this going to be it's going to be a good few months of football.
Correct. So yeah, guys, this is a roundup episode basically, and I hope you enjoy watching it. We'll be back soon. Here's your host Prasad Bhutkar signing out with Siddharth Mehra.
See you guys. Cheers.